Richard Wilson here at Family Office Club's video number 3 in our due diligence mini-series. I want to share with you a number of time-saving strategies that you can use while vetting people when looking to make an investment or a joint venture partnership. This is important because most of the investment world admits that team is more important than anything else. Yet most metrics that people use to look at investments are about the payback period, LTV, the IRR, alpha, the Sharpe ratio, the amount of income that you're getting, your cash on cash return, your NOI, all these numerical figures, right? But what's most important is the team. You can have something that looks amazing on paper, but if it's a bad team, then I would not make that investment, right? You can have something that looks only okay on paper, but you trust them till the end of the world and you know that they're a focused expert who's credible and a class act human being. And you may want to consider doing that deal if it fits one of your 3 buckets that we've talked about in the previous 2 videos in this due diligence mini-series. So here is a quick rundown of things to look for within the team, within the people, to scout out, what is a pitfall and what might be an amazing team to consider working with. I hope you find these helpful. The first is if we're interviewing somebody to join our team or looking to work with them, and the whole meeting, the person doesn't smile one time, then they're not going to join our team, right? Like, if you can't be a pleasant human being to work with, then it's just not worth time to even engage. The second thing is that one of my clients was from an institutional investment consulting firm called Equitas Capital, and they managed $1 billion plus. And they said that people would come to their office all the time who manage hundreds of millions of dollars, and they would pass in flying colors with all of the due diligence questions before the meeting, all of the data they needed, all of the ratios, all those numerical numbers, even in person in the office. They would be very well behaved, very well mannered, very professional, all buttoned up. Then they would take them out after the 3rd meeting, after they've been basically approved. It just has to be voted on by the committee, but they say, hey, it looks like you're in the top 2. You're probably going to get an allocation from us. They will then take them out for drinks, happy hour, dinner and drinks, etc. And they call it the liquidity test, which is sort of a joke because there's obviously a liquidity test you can do to see the liquidity health of a company. And the liquidity test is you have someone have a drink or 2, and you see what they start talking about. Are they talking about suing their partners? Are they talking about how they want to quit the private equity job they have now and start a crypto fund? Do they know anyone that can invest in their crypto fund? Nothing against crypto or whatever random niche example you want to provide. But are they talking about not being loyal to their spouse? Are they talking about how they spend no time with their kids? Are they talking about how they're not honest with somebody else? Are they impolite to the person serving the food? Do they just seem like a class act, energetic, focused, passionate person or not? Because what he said is that it changes completely once people get a drink or 2 in their system and they're not on like best behavior in an office setting. Completely changes what they talk about. They open up and talk about all sorts of crazy stuff sometimes. And that is where people drop off on due diligence, he said with them. That's pretty interesting. I heard from another client, he will take people out to lunch or dinner and they will order chicken with a salad. He'll then go to the waiter and say, this is an important investment decision and I want to see how the CEO responds. I'll give you a 30% tip. And I appreciate you doing this for me, but can you give him the chicken, but burn the chicken on purpose, really burn the chicken bad, and bring him the wrong type of salad. Or instead of chicken, bring him steak and burn it. And then they go back to the table as if they just went to the restroom, see how the person reacts, if they're rude, if they flip out, if they just eat the burnt steak and say, man, that's fine, I like steak, no problem, I like it well done. If they make a joke about it, if they laugh about it, if they're slightly rude about it, super impatient and blow up about it. I mean, it's a very cheap test to do if you're already going out to lunch or dinner or coffee with somebody. So I thought that was kind of funny and interesting as well. In general, you have to ask yourself, is this a good human being? And you have values for your company. Hopefully you have values for your family above your kitchen table as well. You have to ask yourself, which of these 3 investment partners fit my values? And you have to ask yourself, if I'm comfortable with the deal, is it because of those values or is it because of numerical factors? And am I comfortable with both sides of it, the human part as well as the numbers of the deal? And 2 of my partners in one of our real estate divisions called motel to apartment conversions, they are both Eagle Scouts, and I happen to be an Eagle Scout as well. We kind of approached each other on common ground. They came to me as a club member, and they said, hey, Richard, we want you to to be a partner in our business. And I really like them as people. They had a really focused niche strategy. And we've kind of only half jokingly talked about how if you look at the Boy Scout law, which is all the values of being a Boy Scout, there's 12 of them. And essentially what we joke about is that if you don't fit the Boy Scout law, if you don't have the values of a Boy Scout, then you're an outlaw if you don't fit the Boy Scout law, and we're not going to do business with you. And it makes it very simple. And we've debated on, do we do this project and do it with partner A, B, or C? And we use that as kind of like a guidepost. And so it can really help you in making clear-cut decisions and being confident in it. And if the deal goes badly, you did everything in your power. The goal is, with due diligence, the goal is to do everything beyond a reasonable doubt. Think about everything you would do for due diligence in the past and do more. Everything that a client would expect you to do as a fiduciary or watching out for them if you're investing on behalf of your sister or your mom or your daughter or just your family. What would they expect you to do? And then do at least slightly more, if not a lot more. Everything you could think of within reason, you should do. Obviously, the greater amount of money, maybe the more due diligence you may want to consider doing. Back to the personal side of things, though, I just read a book by Tim Draper called Startup Heroes. Awesome book. I also did a 30-minute interview with him. If you want to know what Tim Draper, as a billionaire venture capitalist, what his spirit animal is, he shared that on the interview, and you can see that on billionaires.com. In his book, he said that one of the first partners he closed them because he was at a crowded arena for a sports game. Everyone is trying to get out of the arena, and he sat on the guardrail going down the stairs and slid down and had a fun time sliding down past the crowd. And his level of energy in, as he puts it, gusto and enthusiasm that he tries to bring to everything is infectious, and it makes people want to work with him. They'd rather work with somebody excited, having fun, than someone who is just boring, 100% laced up, locked up, not showing any personality, not seeming like a good person, etc. So I thought that was a really interesting insight. It's probably one of the top 5 insights I got from that Startup Heroes book. But the 30-minute interview we did with Tim Draper was awesome. I hope you get a chance to watch that. The other thing I want to end with on this is that Bezos says in an interview, he said that Amazon invests in small companies and large companies. But the number one thing he looks for is whether the founder is a mercenary or a missionary. Is this person out of Stanford and Silicon Valley or out of Boston, New York, London, Singapore, Tel Aviv, etc., are they trying to just grow something and flip it? Or are they trying to better the experience for the customer? Are they as customer-oriented and obsessed as he famously is? And I thought that was really interesting, that's the number one thing he looks for. That's related to this topic on due diligence and really looking for the personal side of things, again, to save you a lot of time. A lot of this comes down to more and more screens for yourself so that less gets through and you say no faster and you say no more often as more and more comes at you as you elevate your wealth and you grow your balance sheet. I hope you found this helpful. This was video number 3 in our due diligence mini series, and we'll see you on the next one.